Hey guys, Jared Lintner. You know, I just got home from driving 1,800 miles. I was in Missouri winning this thing, the Open Championship, the Bassmaster Opens Championship. You know, going into Table Rock Lake, I really figured it was going to be, you know, a topwater, buzzbait, whopper plopper kind of a tournament just based on the weather. It's been extremely hot there, and then we got blasted by some cold fronts, and it dropped the water temperature over 20 degrees in 3-week time span. So, you know, the first day of practice, I took off with just what I said, you know, top water baits, big swim baits, glide baits, and I had very few bites. I did have a couple decent ones, but I really didn't figure that that was the way to win just because the lack of bites. And, you know, the second and third day of practice, I kind of fine-tuned what I was looking for. I started getting bit on crankbaits, and I just took off and ran with it. I love to throw a crankbait and cover a lot of water, and that's exactly what I did. And I wanted to go over some of the tackle that I used to bring home the trophy. First of all, this here is a Spro RkCrawler, the original 55. It dives anywhere from 9 to 14 feet. Phantom brown was my main color throughout the 3 days. However, when it did get overcast, I caught some on the Ozark craw, which kind of has a chartreuse root beer looking color. The 7.2 medium heavy glass composite X-Pride rod, which I felt was key. I ended up catching a lot of smallmouth, which everybody knows treble hooks and smallmouth bass on a long cast is a problem. That rod helped a lot. I mean, it saved many fish catches for me. I got them in the boat. I was throwing 12-pound FC crank from Sunline. Really, I actually on day 2 I had one hung in a tree, and I was able to get that sucker in. So, you know, that seemed to be the perfect combination for me as far as getting it to the depth I wanted. And I was cranking in and around cypress trees, or not cypress, excuse me, cedar trees, and just standing pole trees along with rock. So a lot of structure in the water, and with that crank, that Sunline Crank FC, I never did have an issue landing one once I hooked it. I was throwing a Metanium HG just because I wanted that bait to dig and move a lot faster than I would, you know, if it was like pre-spawn or cold water temperatures. So, and then when it got cloudy, which it did day 2, it rained all day. I have here a custom painted Jackall MC MR. Everybody knows I really love this crankbait. I had some custom painted, it's kind of bluegill, but that chartreuse belly, kind of like this Ozark craw, you know, they were into it. And I caught a lot of key fish on that, especially day 2. And another reason is that this bait here only got down to that 8 to 10 foot zone, whereas the RkCrawler would get between 8 to 14. So I could fish this a little shallower, keep it up in that water column, and they ate it, especially when it was cloudy. Same setup, the 7.2 X-Pride glass composite rod, Metanium HG, and again with the 12-pound FC crank by Sunline. You know, and then another key thing that I caught a couple of nice fish on throughout the tournament, and I really thought when I figured this out in practice, I thought this was going to be the winning deal for me. This here is a 3/4 ounce homemade jig. You got 300-pound mono for a weed guard, and it's a camouflage skirt, which I got from All Terrain Tackle at Tackle Warehouse actually. Years ago, this is one of my favorite skirt colors ever. It's I've caught them Clear Lake, the Delta, Florida, everywhere in between. And then what I got here is a blue craw rage bug from Strike King. And I was flipping in those isolated cedar trees at anywhere from, I'd say, 8 to 18 feet. And they were usually eating on the fall. And that bite kind of went away for me. But I still managed, you know, I think I weighed in 3 or 4 of the fish, and they were the bigger of the fish I weighed in on that. I was flipping and pitching 22-pound shooter, 894 GLX flipping rod, and a Chronarch HG Shimano reel. You know, and those are really the combinations that put the fish in the boat. But one key thing that I got to stress is with the RkCrawler as well as the MC60 MR, what I did was, if you notice here, stock, this is a number 5, and a number 5 comes on the front hook. I don't even know which brand come on the Spro RkCrawler, but what I did was I took a number 4 Trokar round bed treble hook, and I swapped that out, and what it looks like here is this right here. And that was, I think, really key for me. You could tell the difference between the number 5 and the number 4. So I upsized on the front hook, and those smallmouth, when they're out there digging around and, you know, running the way they do, I was able to get those fish in the boat. And you know, throughout the 3 days, I think I changed them once, if not 2 to 3, 4 times a day, just because I felt it was so important to have those laser sharp hooks on the front of that crankbait, just to get those fish in the boat. But anyway, that was one little key that helped me. I'm sure glad that I'm here instead of in Georgia at the bracket, which is where I would have been if I didn't win. So make sure and check out Tackle Warehouse and get you some of these good products and go catch some fish.